Content warning. The following show contains some potty mouth language, discussions of fictitious violence, tobacco smoking, and some topics that have been known to cause arguments. If any of this is a problem, viewer discretion is absolutely advised. Yeah, oh, that's really the, yeah, all right, we good? Yeah, we good. So I'll start the music. All right, cool. Hey, everybody out there, how is it going? This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerers. Welcome to the dark side of the room. I'm coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. Man, it has been a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for all of that. I'm just getting on my chat in order right now. Trying to make sure that it's lit up as it were. The nice and lit chat. And of course, totally everything. What is going on, people? Oh my God, it has been a time, and yes, finally, cut the chain to the forklift that I've been on the past couple of weeks. So I'm back. Hopefully this week will be on schedule, but we will see how everything is. But none of that matters because I'm here right now. Okay, I'm here now. And I'm turning the music down to make sure that everybody can hear me. And of course, I want to say what's up, what's going on to all of my regulars. So thank you guys for being here. This has been a journey. But before we get started, I just want to say a serious, huge thank you to the people that are helping me out right now. Y'all know who you are, and I don't really want to talk about it on the show because I'm here to talk about gaming and not my personal problems. But serious shout out especially to my good friend who lives too far away for me to visit right now. You know who you are, you good human you. You know, though, okay, I gotta say the Night Lord models are pretty good looking. But if you guys want to get a hold of and all of that stuff, that's really easy. All you got to do is pull up your keyboard and type in back in the deck at gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. You can also reach out to me on what used to be called Twitter and is now called something I'm not going to say anymore. That's the full thing on that. And of course, Instagram. If you're looking for me on TikTok, look for BidP. That's BIDPY. And of course, join the Deckers on the book. Now, one of my viewers tends to throw up the Discord. The Discord thing right there. So they'll probably be doing that. Keep an eye out. Now, a couple of quickie announcements, guys. All right. Because of my financial status and things that have been going, I'm stuck going back to putting commercials on this. So if you guys want to avoid that, that's really simple. All you got to do is subscribe with your Amazon Prime account. Okay, once you, oh, there it is. Look at that. All right, we got the Discord invitation up and going. But yeah, so if you guys subscribe with your Amazon Prime account, it is absolutely free. Okay, absolutely free. It won't cost you guys anything. It helps me out and helps me pay my bills, and you guys get to watch all the stuff that we do here on the channel ad free. Okay, that is really big. All right, the ad free thing, that's huge, because I know I actually was watching someone else's stream today, and a commercial came up, and I'm like, wow, I haven't seen those in forever. And I mean, ever. Oh man. No, no, not the outro music. No, not all that stuff. But yeah, so, um, oh, thank you so much. All right, thank you so much, Cyber Drake Luca. See what I mean? Right there, zero money, 0 cents. But thank you so much for using the subscribe thing. There it is. It's that easy. That really helps me out and helps me avoid a lot of the stuff that I would go through on a normal thing. So, we got a show for you guys today. All right. We seriously have a show for you guys today. And what do I mean? Well, there has been a long, and I'm talking, there's, if you guys are in the nerd hobby, okay, any nerd hobby, I don't care if you're talking superhero movies, comic books, gaming, whatever it is that you're into, there are loads and loads and loads. Woo! Thank you so much, Vision Vendor. Um, yeah. Um, I don't care how long you guys have been a nerd and on um what capacity. There's always something else to be a little weird and upset about, right? Always a little something. But most of the time, these conversations, they tend to come and go in a matter of months. Okay, a couple of months go by, and people are just like, "Man, I just don't care that much anymore." You know. Example: I was in the comic book business. God, I sound like a monster. I was in the comic book business. Now, I was in comic books. All right, that's what I was doing. I was learning the comic business. Capiche? No. But really, when Miles Morales came out and Kamala Khan came out, and Miles was kind of a big thing because it was like, no, 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 Spider Man this, Spider Man that, you know. But heck, just a year ago, there was a big conversation on whether or not Tolkien wrote Black Dwarves. We're not getting into that. Okay. But there has been an ongoing, um, ongoing conversation within a whole lot of spheres. And I want you guys to know something. One of the reasons that this show seems kind of improvisational is that the main places that most people do their research on, especially when it comes to the current conversations in nerd hobbies, are places that I avoid. Okay. And I mean, I really avoid them. I avoid them like walking through industrial districts or Detroit after 2 a.m. Okay. And those two main places are, well, three main places are message boards, Reddit, and Twitter. I stay far away from those three places when it comes to any hobbying stuff. All right. I mean, it's because those places can get pretty freaking gladiatorial. No, no, I don't think gladiatorial. Chernobyl esque. Yes, very toxic. All right. Mm. Oh, okay. So it's good for tech support. Thank you, Cyberdrake. Cyberdrake Lucas says Reddit is good for two things: tech support and trolls. Yeah. I risk of too many trolls. I don't do that. But there are certain conversations that are so big out there that they hit all the social medias: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. And I wanted to talk about that today because a lot of you regulars already know where I stand on this, but I want to go into it. And of course, if you looked at the title of this video or you got the little thing, when I went live, you guys will most definitely know what we're talking about today. But before we go on, I'm going to cut to commercial. Just so they know I'm here and all of that jazz. So we will be back in 64 seconds. All right. And for those of you guys that are subscribers, what is going on? So let's see here. Got Cyberdrake Lucas saying, "Oh yeah, my latest. I'm upset about this. Was Bandcamp Union busting back in October. I actually got driven back physically, um, going to a store and buying CDs. Yeah, honestly, I'm glad you brought up the music thing because that is one of the places I'm gonna be coming from on this since I was there in 2004. It was a weird time, but I was there. I did the thing. That's really one of the things. Let's check. Um, let's check to see who's watching over here. And yeah, no one's actually watching over here on the other platform, and that's fine. And let's see who else. Who else? Who else? Oh, I just got a message that says I really miss listening to your podcast, and I'm like, well, if you miss it, tune in, man. All right, so we're coming back off a break, and yeah, how you going? Okay, so thank you guys. We are back. We're doing that whole thing. Um, and yeah, I got another commercial break going in some time coming up. They'll be like, are the pre-rolls on and off and all that stuff? So, um there has been a 5-year long conversation about 3D printing with miniatures from Dungeons and Dragons all the way to Warhammer 40K. All right? And it is an interesting conversation because as you guys know, if you're new to the channel, you guys will learn I am an old man by internet standards. All right. Yeah, I mean, seriously. I am in my mid 40s, and that means I've seen a lot. All right. So we're gonna go all the way back to the 1980s. Okay. Now, in the 1980s, we had these things called cassette decks. All right. They came after these things called 8 tracks. And the cassette deck had a record feature. All right. And what that means is you could go to, say, a music store or a drugstore, like, well, you guys would call it CVS now. We called it Thrifties back in the day. But you could go to a Newberry or a Kmart or, even a Target because they had come out by then and pick up a blank audio cassette. All right. And what you could do is you could put the blank audio cassette into your tape player and push record while you were listening to the radio. And it would copy the radio. Um, it would copy the radio edit of essentially it would record whatever was playing at the time. And it was awesome. Okay. Um, it really was like Spotify, but a different kind of downloading, and then you could listen to it over and over again. Later on came the dual cassette deck. Okay, the dual cassette deck. And the dual cassette deck allowed you to make a copy of another tape, be it a tape that you, like a mixtape that you made from listening to radio songs, or if, say, a friend of yours had all the Metallica albums and you didn't have any money, you could give them, you didn't have I think it was like $10 back then for a CD or for a cassette. And you could give them at the time 4 cassette tapes. Actually, I used the long ones, the 90-minute ones, so I could give them 2 that cost me maybe $1. And they could record all the Metallica albums that they had, putting the song 1 at the end. Okay. Um, you know, and then later on, VCRs came out and people started recording television shows and sporting events and things like that, right? Now, this was back in the 20th century, and intellectual property rights worked a little differently, and we called them something else back then, as well. So that is a really important thing um, to point out for you guys. All right. However, there was a bigger thing. Okay, there was a bigger thing that was coming out with with CDs and DVDs and all that other stuff. But then came the early 2000s. With the internet, people started transferring their data or their information digitally. Okay, now this opened up so much stuff. I remember I got into Rush as um, a bass player and as a rock listener because all I knew about Rush was what I heard on the radio, which at the time was Tom Sawyer, Ghost of a Chance, and Spirit of the Radio. Those were the only three Rush songs that the radio stations near me played. And I was at a friend's house in the middle of the night. I was crashing over there, but I've never been much of a sleeper. So I was on his America Online account, and no, it was Netscape. It was Netscape Navigator. And I found a website where a guy just uploaded MP3s of every Rush song, every single one. So I downloaded them all. I saved them, and I listened, and I learned the stuff. And then eventually, I bought my first cassette copy of Moving Pictures so that I could learn how to play that. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, after that came Napster. Ooh, Napster. Hey, let's trade our music online. Just sign up here and you can download not just an album, not just a song, not just an album, but sometimes entire discographies of an artist. All right. Now, there was a big controversy about that, a huge controversy. Now, I was a working musician at the time. Okay. And a lot of people were like, well, you're a musician. Why do you care about why don't you care about taking money out of these musicians' pockets? I'm like, okay, hold up. These musicians at the time, because this was things changed in the 90s from the 50s, where the bands didn't get a whole lot of money from their music sales. They just didn't. And to this day they still don't. They make their money on tour. Okay? When you show up to the concert, that money goes in their pockets. When you buy a T-shirt, that money goes into their concerts, that or into their pockets. You know, when you buy their little thing. Now that model is changing. Okay, like I have a SoundCloud account, and I get the lion's share of that. When you guys like listen to stuff on SoundCloud, and I'm not on. I am on Spotify, but yeah. Um, so yeah, yeah. Aside from big names, yeah, Lars from Metallica got really mad about that, but didn't know very much at the time. Anyhow, um, but this conversation about buying the thing or making a copy of the thing, this was even going on back then. Okay, in the early 2000s when it came to recasting minis. Now, there are some of us that know how to use silicone and knows how to pour resin. Okay. And oh, I'm gonna get to that phrase in a bit because I got to talk about the movie thing as far as that goes. But yeah, um, so when it came down um to recasting, there's always been this long conversation, and I ain't gonna front with y'all. The lion's share of that conversation has always been loudest in the 40K community. Now, it is absolutely no shock to anyone who knows me on this channel to know that I don't care about Games Workshop. I do not care about their well being. I don't care about their profit margins. I don't care. I really don't. Um, they make fun games. I will give them that. They make gorgeous models. I give flowers where flowers are due. However, um, however, I have never, ever, ever been a fan of Games Workshop's business practices. Okay, and um, this is from opening retail stores, the contracts they have your friendly local game stores sign, and their behavior from that, to the trademark bullying, to their ambiguity within the miniature wargaming market, especially since I cut my teeth on BattleTech and my game was War Machine for 13 years, you know. So, yeah, that's a big thing. But the big conversation revolves around two different things, and we're going to get on that. One, oh my God, it's so wrong because you're stealing their intellectual property. And I am going to be fair, okay? I'm going to be very fair on this. Now, that argument about stealing intellectual properties and all that stuff, I have a theory as to where it comes from, okay? And that theory is this. Um, it's the theory of boycotting, all right? One or two people boycotting doesn't do a whole lot, just like one or two people pirating. Hang on. Ooh, I got to do a little soundproofing. I will be right back. Um, because it looks like my neighbor is using power tools. So I will be right back. While I close the door. In the meantime, I guess I'll run another ad and you guys get some water and we'll. Oh no, I can't run another ad. It's too early. Okay, good. Then I will be right back, guys. Okay. That was pretty quick. That was pretty easy. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's a big thing. See, now it's gone. Yeah, that metallic thing that was happening, that was my neighbor using, I believe, a rip saw on piping, which makes sense. Anyway, um, yeah, there might be people listening with headphones, and I try and keep yeah, I um try and keep good stuff out there for everybody. Anyway, like I was saying, um, but there's a lot of people that are afraid of boycott theory, which is this theory that states one or two people aren't a problem, one or 2,000 is a concern, 1 or 2 million is a bankruptcy. And what I've noticed in the Warhammer 40K community um, is a fear that anything and everything will kill the game that they have invested decades of their lives and thousands of their dollars into. So I get that. All right. I definitely get that. And I'm giving them credit to say when they talk about, no, what about the corporation? We don't want them to go under. I think what they're afraid of, really afraid of, is that the giant corporation of Games Workshop will see that a lot of people are doing it and then they'll just stop. Okay? Kind of in the same way that during COVID and a certain bunch of protests, a certain public organization threatened to just stop doing their jobs in the sense of, oh, they'll really see how things are when we leave. Yeah, that'll be it. Brrr, you know? Um, and that could literally be the thing. I don't know. All right. But I lived through Napster. I lived through dual cassette decks. And in my neighborhood, Bootlegging movies has been a long standing tradition for decades. All right. And see, this is a thing. All right. This is a really big thing. Um, I have some friends that work in entertainment. And because of the integrity of their jobs, they pay full price for stuff all the time because if the companies they work for make that decision, they themselves are out of a job. So I can see the personal stake. Now, where does this take us with 3D printing? All right. Well, that's an interesting monster because as soon as 3D printing came out, there was the naysaying. Okay, especially when FDM printers were all that there were. And you still see the same arguments that are so laced with copium. It is hilarious to me. To me, all right? Not hilarious in general, but definitely hilarious to me. Where it's like um the main arguments that we get from 3D printing are the same ones that I got when HeroClix first came out, and I loved the idea of pre-painted miniatures. Okay, because I'm like, yeah, I'm into HeroClix. Anybody want to play? Oh no, I don't like their sculpts. Oh, their paint jobs are terrible. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. And then I think it was like 10 years later, after the company had gotten bought out by a bigger company, and the molds had gotten better, the gameplay had gotten better, and there's still people going, "No, I don't like their molds. Their molds and their paint jobs." And I'm like, dude, you could repaint the minis. You know, and I'm like, wow, this sounds like a lot of copium. But what I hear when it comes to the 3D modeling is no, they don't have the right amount of detail, and Games Workshop is the whole thing. Right? And I'm like, okay, all right. But what I see, if you guys have been watching the channel for a long time, y'all know I talk a lot about the game behind the game. All right. And what I see is people essentially going the same argument they say when it comes to college debt forgiveness and a lot of things that are happening in America, which is I went through the hard stuff. Why shouldn't you have to? Okay? That is really what the thing was. It was like, I've been playing 40K since it was World Trader and I had to save up my money and mow my lawns. But they know if they say that out loud, so there are a bunch of dog whistles that come in to the whole 40K or recasting or all that stuff. It comes down to I had to pay all this money to do this, and you should not have it easier than I do. All right? That's where I see the arguments are really coming from. Like, if I had Wonder Woman's Lariat of Truth, I think that's what I would get out of it. All right? Um, but one of the things that I've definitely seen is yeah, there are a lot of companies that don't put out the best stuff. But what I do see with the 3D printing are a bunch of 3D designers that either don't work for, can't get work at, or just are learning their thing, are learning their trade of um of 3D modeling, putting their stuff out there and seeing where it goes, you know? Um there are so many places. When I got started as a 3D printer, I had my Mars, my Elegoo Mars 1, okay? And I went to a site called Thingiverse or Thingiverse. And they had all these 3D models and it was so much fun. Especially learning my way around the 3D printing thing. And that was like 5 or 6 years ago, guys. It's been a while since I could hold my head up high. It's been a while. Okay. And But as time has progressed and people have become better at what they do, and more talented people who are fans have come out with a lot of different stuff, it's like, wow. Um, there has been a major uptick. But if you go into the mini wargaming spaces or hobbying spaces or train spaces, you still hear the same dog whistles. Oh, they aren't detailed, or they're not detailed enough, or they do this whole thing. And my personal favorite, 3D printing is a hobby in and of itself. Love that one. Love it, love it, love it. Think it's hilarious. Now, I'm not gonna lie, okay? Um, if you guys know me, you guys know beyond knowing that I like playing games far more than I like preparing for games, okay? The act of playing a game is my hobby, okay? Not the um not the modeling, not the painting, but the actual playing of the game. Whatever game it is. And if you guys notice my recommendations, you guys will see, yes, I play a lot of games. And most of the games I play are relatively low barrier to entry as far as money, time, and skill goes into. Like Gaslands. Grab yourself a couple of Hot Wheels from the 99-cent store and download the rules to the book and have a blast. Okay, have a blast playing Fury Road and yelling mediocre at your 7-year-old kid. I mean, it's just it's a fun thing. That is what I'm into. Like, again, this is why I'm such a fanboy for Joe McCullough with the Frostgrave and Stargrave and Rangers of Shadow Deep stuff. Just all the way. Yeah, space weirdos, man. Seriously, space weirdos. And the banana game, the war game with the little bananas and all that stuff. I'm 5 parsecs from home. Just all that jazz, you know. And I'm really big on indie creators as well because I have a personal grudge against publicly traded corporations. So, now where does that bring us with 3D printing? Well, with 3D printing, a lot of people who are gamers, but who do lean more toward the hobby side, and we'll do a show on that later on this week. Um, um, they tend to have a long diatribe about the 3D printing thing, and there are so many YouTube channels and videos from people like Discourse, Discourse Miniatures, Gamza, um, Uncle Jesse, just loads of different YouTubers out there and lots of articles that have done a thing by thing breakdown and analysis of buying miniatures versus 3D printing. And if you guys want to watch some really cool stuff, there's a dude called Battle Brother Sam that's on YouTube, and he is great. His channel is only a couple of years old. I've been watching it since the beginning, and I've watched his progression, which I love doing. But there's still the naysayers out there going, "Brr, brr, 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 and it's wrong. You're taking money out of the pockets of GW." And I'm like, look, guys, number one, um, I have always had one single thought process when it comes to, I guess you can say, eufying um, media or toys or whatever. And I'll get back to that after these commercial breaks. Wow. Yeah, chat is lit today. I'm glad you guys are here. Litco bases, cheap, free PDFs. Yeah, Space Weirdos. Seriously, guys, let's see. Traveler has been licensed Scout type S scale environment models. It's sold as a customizable software which generates files for 3D prints and instructions. Cool. Send a link. Let's see. Neon Arlecchino says It's the clash of commercialized society versus collectivist society. We're constantly struggling, so having shared fun in a community where everyone can have a good time is a soft culture shock that can lead to big issues. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. See, Daryl, that stuff only matters when you don't have money and the power to protect yourself. Nikola Tesla, anyone? Facts. All right. Let's see. And Neon Arlecchino is like, yeah, I would love to get my hands into those pockets. Yeah, I mean the GW pockets. Yeah. And we are back. Yeah, this is some really good stuff. So, the thought process that I have always had when it came to bargain bin, Luffy, all that other stuff is really simple. All right. Um, I'll tell you, back in 1992, there was an album from a band called Bad Company. The album was called Holy Water. I really liked that album. All right. And I scrounged up my allowance and the money I got from selling candy bars at school. Not for school, at school. Okay, yeah, I was that kid. All right. And I got myself a cassette copy of Holy Water. And I lost it. And so I went through the whole rigmarole again. And I bought the cassette again. And then I made a cassette copy of it. I made two or three. And when I left the house, I took one of the copies and then I would lose it because sometimes my handheld radio would get jacked or I would leave it on the bus or, stuff that happens to 14, 15-year olds. But I always had that original to make another copy of and I could listen to that whole thing. Um, yeah, man. Hey, it's a hood thing. If you grew up poor, you got to make money somehow. um, and at the time, there were certain candy bars at the grocery store that was by my house that sold chocolate bars 5 for $1. So I could buy them at 20 cents. I could sell them at 50, and eventually I could buy a cassette tape. That kind of thing. Um, so when all that stuff came down, okay, when a lot of that stuff came down, I eventually just ran out of Bad Company's Holy Water. Now, when I think about it, do I go onto do I go onto certain One Piece sites to download that album when I think about it? Yes, I do because I've already bought 3 or 4 copies of it. All right? But here's the thing. Uh I'm not the kind of person that will do something once and be fine with it. You know? Um, let's talk about games and minis and all that stuff. All right. When I come down to stuff, me getting copies of the thing is just a gateway for the thing. All right. Um, so when I talk about that, what do I mean? Well, um, there's a miniatures game that I love. Okay. It is called Carnivale. Carnivale is a great game. It's like Assassin's Creed. It's wonderful. All that other stuff, right? Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. However, it's not available many places that I can get to. All right. Excuse me. Now, when I learned about that game, I learned about it by watching Discourse Minis. Okay. And she was talking about it and she saw the thing. And the game is set in the late 1700s in Italy, specifically Venice. So you've got these Venetian characters going through all this stuff. And the starter kit, I've ranted about it on this show before. Great starter kit. Comes with 2 complete playable armies, a full board of terrain, a full board, and it was like $100. But I didn't have $100. Okay. However, being part of the one-page rules, um, Yeah, being part of the One Page Rules Patreon, they have an army that's based on Leonardo da Vinci. So I printed those things up. I downloaded the rule book for free and I played the game. And guess what? I loved it. So, where did my miniatures budget go to when I had the chance to buy miniatures? Um they went to ordering Carnivale. My main gaming buddy actually backed the Kickstarter, so he had the starter kit and that was cool. And we played, we had a grand old time and we were able to play with part of the thing that he did, which was the Kickstarter and the 3D minis that I printed. But here was the thing. When we liked the game, we bought the stuff. Okay? We found a store um that's like halfway between where he lived and I lived. And sure enough, you know what? Um we bought minis. I bought myself a copy of the rule book. Um, I put money into the company after I was able to do my research. Okay, my research as in try the game, play the game, and I played the game. I did the same thing with Gaslands. You know, I downloaded their free rule book. I got myself a couple of Hot Wheels, and I played the game. I had a grand time. I taught a 10-year-old how to play the game, and you know what? I spent the $25 on the book. All right. Now, 40K has been an interesting journey. Okay. And why has it been an interesting journey? Again, I don't want to support Games Workshop. And the fact of the matter is, these guys have a 34% net profit per year. Okay. What does that mean? Well, Kroger, okay, the grocery company that owns Ralph's, Kroger directly, Pavilions, and I think I'm don't quote me on this, but I think they might own Whole Foods as well. They're a big um great big mega corporation. All right? We're talking they're responsible for at least 40% of the groceries in the continental United States. It's a big, 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 big company. And in 2022, for groceries, the thing that everyone buys, they are running at a 4% net profit margin. 4. McDonald's is about 10 to 13. So Games Workshop running at 34? Just think about that. Think about how profitable that business is. No, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have 34% of the UK's gross national product, but they run at 34% net income for their company. All right. That is huge. Okay. That is huge. Again, the Kroger Corporation never sees dividends higher than 8%. All right. And GW sees dividends of 34. So me going to an independent creator for my models, that ain't going to hurt them at all. Okay. Now, principally, yes, I buy little things. All right. I bought the Leviathan mission pack. All right. I did. I bought it because it has a decent amount of scenarios and stuff like that. And here's the bigger thing, I want to support my friendly local gaming store. And here's the way that works. Okay. Seriously. The gaming store pays the company directly. All right. So when you buy from your friendly local gaming store, you're not putting money in GW's pocket. They already got theirs. You're not putting money in Wizards of the Coast pockets. They already got theirs. What you're doing is paying back that money to your friendly local gaming store and helping to keep them open. And as I said, I'm old. I've seen over 45 friendly local gaming stores open and close over the course of my gaming life. Now, granted, my gaming radius is about 45 miles. Okay, seriously. Actually, no, it's more like 30. Yeah, it's about 30 miles. And that means 30 miles in every direction except for west, because 30 miles west of where I live is ocean. But, um, but yeah, 30 miles north, south, and east. All the way. I've seen so many stores close, and the way I keep communities up and going is by making sure that they have that third space to meet. You get what I'm saying? Um, but one of my best friends called me the Imelda Marcos of 3D printing. Okay. Yeah, I have a lot of 3D printers. I think I'm almost at double digits now. And that being the case, okay, that being the case, do I think that 3D printing is wrong? No, no, I don't. But there are certain protocols. Okay. Um, like seriously, there are certain protocols. Like I will take my 3D printed models into a store. I will do that. I will play games with my 3D printed models. However, the number one store that back in the deck as a whole has a relationship, Guildhouse Games, they have their own 3D printers. Okay. And if you want to buy a design from um a 3D printer or a 3D STL company and have them print it there, they'll do it for a small fee. It's a cool thing. All right. But they only do it with models that are for sale after you prove that you've done your purchase, like after you've purchased your thing, and they'll do the thing for you. Um, when people in that store come up to me asking if I could print them, I'm like, number one, talk to the person who owns this store. They 3D print as well. And second, what else are you buying from here? All right. Because it's not about saving GW, it's about saving the Guildhouse games. It's about saving the Dice House. It's about saving Brave New World. You know? Um, Thank you, Glow WFF. I've been trying to keep the comments down to only commenting during commercial break for the subscribers, but you're absolutely right. You know, still buys painting tools, magnets, the books, um, storage bins. All right, that kind of stuff from the stores still need to be bought to keep the doors open. You know, is Yeah. Oh, thank you, Cyber Drake Luca, and the dice, the good old dice. And I can tell you, as a 3D printer, I can make dice, but no. Okay, if I keep using those dice, they're not as durable and sturdy as dice from Chessex. So still goes through that. Now, a lot of people are like, well, if you use the STLs, then you're just not going to buy anything from Games Workshop. Blah blah blah. That might be true. Okay. I really don't buy models from Games Workshop. That's because I don't like the company. But see, here's the thing, guys. When it comes to 3D printing, there are the STL models that are available and usable. Recently, I went looking for STL models for proxies for War Machine because I got out of it a long time ago. I don't have any money to spend, but I do have some resin left. And I only found decent models for light jacks from Signar, and I'm a Protectorate player. Okay, so seriously, um, seriously speaking, um, if I want to start a War Machine club at Guildhouse Games, then the people that are in that club are going to have to buy from Privateer. Why? Because the STLs aren't available. Okay, that is a really big thing. Um, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You know, um, the second part is I've been 3D printing for a long time. I've been trying to 3D print the merch for this channel, to send out to Patreons and stuff like that. I'm failing. I know I'm terrible, and I've already invested like $6,000 in the materials to do it. Um, but, and this is a really really big bouquet. Um, Sometimes it's just easier to buy the thing. That's real talk. Really, really real talk. It is a lot easier for me to go to a store and buy some warjacks, um, um, than it is to find them and 3D print them. And the whole margin of error thing that comes down, it still takes a lot of time and effort. So on one hand, it's kinda like its own hobby. But that's only until you get good enough for your purposes. Now, I'm not an organized player. I don't go to tournaments. I've never played a game inside a Games Workshop store. I've told the story quite a few times of when I tried. Okay. Um, but yeah, I have a vast collection of 3D printed models for technically for one page rules, but I can use them for Warhammer 40K. And when I do use them for Warhammer 40K, I bought the index cards for the Thousand Suns. Though that's the team I want to play, and I spent the $35 on that deck. Okay, so again, to keep a gaming store open. Doo, doo, doo. So with that being said, yeah. So with all that being said, what I can say is I don't think that 3D printing is wrong. Okay. I don't think it's any more wrong than crafting your terrain out of cardboard and foam. Okay. And a lot of people will be like, and I'm like, yo, boo, there's companies out there like Loot Crate, TT Combat, Games Workshop, um, who else? We'll just stick with those three off the top of my head that sell terrain. Okay. However, you don't see people going all that crazy about crafting your own terrain, do you? You know, unless you're going to a GW tournament. Guess what? I'm not playing in the Las Vegas Open with my miniatures. Don't care to. If I go to Las Vegas Open, or when I go to Las Vegas Open, I'll be there to get interviews and stuff like that, and probably to play other games. But I am not a person that does the tournament thing or the organized play thing. Of um I'm not part of the Games Workshop ecosystem. Okay. Um and not just because I don't support the company, but I don't support that model of isolated ecosystems. I use Android, not Apple. Okay. I've always used Windows and Linux, not Apple. All right. I don't have the money for that. And that is another really big thing. Okay. Really, really big thing. Okay. Um, a lot of folks, a lot of folks look at their hobby as not just part of their lives, but a huge part of their identity. Okay. And I get it. I definitely get it. If you're watching this for the second or third time, and I say watching this as in watching my channel, thank you. And if you're new, welcome. But if you are watching this, then you know what it's like to want to belong somewhere, to want to be part of something. And a lot of role playing and miniatures playing and all that stuff has always had the steep barrier to entry financially, and thanks to a lot of social media, talent based barriers to entry. Okay. Um that might be a joke, Neon Arlecchino, but it's not funny. Um But yeah, I mean, quite seriously speaking, um, a lot of the times, now if you guys don't know, I grew up in the hood. And what that means is we had enough money to get by, but didn't have a lot of money for peripherals, especially everyday regular peripherals like model making, role playing games. Not to mention, um, there are no game stores in the hood. Hell, there's barely any bookstores in the hood, and the bookstores that are there do not carry things like Warhammer or Warhammer 40K or Dungeons and Dragons because Satanic Panic stuck real hard, especially in the black community. Okay, um, that goes back to the church and slavery and all that other stuff, and I don't want to get into it. So, in order for me to do these things, I had to spend more money than the average gamer because it took, when I was a kid, a minimum of an extra $5 just to get to the places that had the communities. You get what I mean? Even now, it costs me an extra $5 to $10 because my nearest gaming store is about 20 miles away. So it takes about a gallon of gas to get there and back, not to mention the time and the eating while I'm out there, kind of thing. So that is a fiscal barrier to entry. All right. And that's huge. Now, again, there are loads of channels out there that do the cost, okay? Do the cost analysis of 3D printing versus buying your miniatures. And here's the thing, all right? I've never had a problem with proxies because I grew up with bargain bin toys, swap meet things, I didn't have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all right? I had Reptile Samurai Warriors, okay, that looked amazingly like Ninja Turtles to a 10-year-old, not to a 35-year-old that knows what a whole bunch of, that knows the history of the toys and all that, blah, blah. Didn't have that. But I did have my little toys that I could go, and I can always pretend. I could pretend that those teenage samurai reptile warriors were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, I could do that. Um, and so even when I was working at a game store, you know, I would always check out the cheaper miniatures, stuff like Reaper, anything. This was before Bones came out, y'all. All right. And I was always fine with it. But there is a large part of the community that's like, well, if it's not GW, if it's not from the actual thing, then it takes away from my immersion. Oh, my immersion is so important. Y'all know. Y'all know who I'm talking about. You know why I'm talking about them. Y'all know. All right. Because of immersion. You know. So yeah, it's a big thing. But when it comes to the cost analysis, we are in an age now where you could get a 3D printer for $100 and a bottle of resin for 30. So $130 could pump you out easily a 500 point army in Warhammer 40K. And I don't care what faction you're talking about. Serious, you could pump out 500, sometimes even 1,000 point army for $30. That means for $60 after you have the printer, okay, you can get a full playable team for the cost of one box of Space Marines. And if I am to be gracious and to show the radical empathy that I do my best to show, I can see why that makes a lot of old time players mad. Okay? I really can. But I look at it like being mad at at the technology that's available today that wasn't available in my day, honestly, is a waste of energy. And it's also not fair. Okay? When I was growing up, calculators had become pocket size and relatively cheap. Okay? My mom didn't have access to the TI 1800. Y'all know what I'm talking about. However, I mean, she had a slide rule, but she didn't have, the TI 800. Um, so should she have been mad at me for having a calculator? That doesn't make sense. Yeah, I am fortunate that today I can play whatever miniatures game that I want at an affordable price. Okay, at a very affordable price. Um, because I can have the fun that I have. All right. Um, Now again, minding protocols. Now I very rarely, if ever, and I mean this, very rarely, if ever, find STLs that are direct copies. All right. Um, a direct copy of a Games Workshop mini. But I do love inspired by and physically distinct, or inspired by but legally distinct from. Why? I discovered one page rules. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Noticed all of their factions are from Warhammer 40K, Warhammer Fantasy, um, um, Dead Zone and Warpath, and Star Wars. Okay, 4 different games, and then they say, "Oh, by the by, you can use whatever models you want, but these are the models that we can provide." And I'm like, you know what? I'm all in. Let's do all that stuff. But when we come back from commercial break, I'm going to show you guys what I mean by inspired by, but legally distinct from, so that you guys know the difference um between all of this stuff. Okay, I want us to really take a look at what proxies can be used and good ways from good creators um that proxies could be like. I'll be right back. Man, you guys are lit up in the chat today. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, sometime, yeah. Weird feeling of equal parts wanting to stand apart and stand with. Belonging to places is only the one half. Yeah, I get that. Um, yeah, not gonna talk about that. Let's see here. Oh, let's check the YouTube chats. All right, cool. YouTube chats are up to date. Immersion comes from within. Just ask a LARPer. You are so right, Cyberdrake Luca. Let's see. Literally have people immersed in a setting of a project I'm involved with just by having Discord channels to act as virtual setting BBS. That's cool, actually. Let's see here. Oh no, that's between, yeah. Quite a few when I was still looking that looked cooler. Then what were they inspired by? Yeah, no, that all of that is all fair stuff. Oh, look, we're back. Hey, how's it going, guys? Um, so as I was saying, I'm going to we're gonna take a look at the inspired by but legally distinct from, because this is actually a pretty important topic to me. It really is, because um that particular thing. There we go. Yep. Wait, boop. Okay, now we get this. Okay, there we go. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Um, nope, not that one either. So, this is funny. Okay, there we go. That's the one I was looking for. Yep. There are quite a few really good companies that put out some great stuff. All right, some really great stuff. And I use them for proxies all of the time. All of the time. Because quite honestly, y'all, and I mean this for real, um, there are certain things, just certain things, that I really aren't feeling when it comes to Games Workshop or a few other companies. Now, let's let's seriously keep it 100. All right, let us keep it 100% 100. And when I say that, I mean just that. All right, let's be absolutely real about all this stuff. There is an ambiguity when it comes, or not an ambiguity, but what is the a ubiquity when it comes to tabletop miniatures games. All right, if it's science fiction, Games Workshop has pretty much covered it in their almost 40 years of stuff. Okay, if you look up Space Soldier on any site that has STLs, what you are going to find are Space Marine clones or Space Marine proxies. Okay. The guys over at Mini Wargaming are releasing Ravage Star, their Chaos Marines, and Tyranids for right now that have their thing. It's just a big thing. All right. Oh, we'll get to that. Don't worry, Cyber Drake. We will get to the BattleTech clones. Um. So yeah, but what we're going to be looking at, all right, are some other things. Yeah, some other things. Oh, yeah, wrong button. Yeah, what we're going to be looking at are some companies that um, put out some really, really, really good stuff. Now we're going to start with one of my favorites because this is an independent creator out of the UK, and if you need some Space Marines, like these are literally the ones that I use. I use two Space Marine proxies that I print up, and honestly, on the Wednesday show, we're going to be putting together my Tech Marine that I've been meaning to put together and all that stuff, and we're gonna do all that. See if I can get it painted up decently on the hobby hall on Wednesday. But let's take a look. Okay, look at this stuff, guys. What we got over here? Yeah, what we got over here is is stuff from Apex Miniatures. All right. Now you guys have seen me. Yeah, you guys have seen me. Honest and for truly. Um, yeah, honestly and for truly. Um, use these guys. These things are great. This is um their equivalent to a dreadnought. And all this stuff is 3D printed and all that stuff. Now I think this file is like $15, but I also know that it costs less than $1 to print. Okay, so I know the not venerable, but the big dreadnought that you get from Games Workshop now. That kit costs about $60. You know, and literally for 16, you can have one of these things. But at 17, you get two. At 18, you get three. You see where that cost comes in? All right, starting at $16 and then going up, 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 up. By the time you get to 60, you have 44 freaking Primaris Dreadnoughts. That is crazy. Okay? Crazy talk. For what you get. I mean, seriously, that's just it is some wacky stuff. All right? And yeah, I am a big fan of Apex Minis, and he is on my mini factory. You can sign up for his tribes. I'm a member of his Patreon. I pay him $7 a month. I get a bunch of stuff. What else do we have from him? Yeah, his Space Marines, dude. Look at this guy. All right, I love this guy. All right, when it comes to the heavy intercessors. Now, again, this file is about $9. All right, and literally for $2 worth of resin, you can print up about 20 of them. 20. So, yeah, for $12, you get 2 full units of assault intercessors, or 2 full units of Space Marines. If you scale them down 10%, you have your firstborn. So they're all there, you know, and they look Space Marine enough. These guys are definitely space soldiers in power armor, but they don't look like Space Marines. They don't look like the genetically modified child soldiers. But they look cool and they're distinguishable on the table as Space Marines, you know? And I can play the game that I want to play with these guys. Um, let's see here. Now, this guy's got Terminators. Oh yeah, look at these guys. Okay? Look at these dudes. Ah, that is great. You could tell this guy is a Terminator. All right, no questions. He's a Terminator and he's got the different claws and all that stuff. But yeah, these are Space Marine things. But guess what? These are also models that I use for 5 parsecs from home. They're also models that I use for Dead Zone. Um, and yeah, this is stuff that we can do all day. That's right, they're combi weapons. What? Oh no. Combi weapons that actually look like combi weapons. No, he does not look like a T-1000. All right? But yeah. And but again, these guys look great. They are so fun. Um there are other creators out there like Station Forge Miniatures. Now, Station Forge Minis you can also find on my mini factories. And these guys' stuff is great. Like, here we go. Look at this guy. Winged a winged bug creature that looks a whole lot like a certain Tyranid model. And the STL for this is $10. But I can tell you from printing something similar, that it's less than $2 to print entirely. You know. So what do we got? Um, so yeah, you can get this $35, $40 miniature for $13, like for $12. And then again, for $14 you get 2. For 16 you get 3. You see what I mean? Yeah. It's a big chicken. you know. And for this, I can use for my Alien Hive team on one page rules. I can also use these as as I forgot the name of the army and hordes, but you know which ones I'm talking about. You know, and this is from Station Forge. Station Forge, by the way, is the company that I bought the Polkabot from. You know, and the Polkabot that we started painting on the show. I still haven't finished them, but that's okay. We'll get to that one day. See if I can. Yeah, but these guys got all the things. Okay, look at the scavenger cult leader. All right, this guy right here, we know what he looks like. All right, we know what this guy is, you know, and he's $10 for the file. And I promise you, on that particular note, he cost about 35 cents to print, you know? So I mean there's a lot of stuff here that's really, really good. Okay? And they're easy to tell from the tabletop. There we go. Here's the Pokebot. And this guy was like $15, you know. He was $15 for the file. And I can print all the loadouts. I can make the whole sprue. I can put on different heads. I can magnetize all of this stuff. And these are much better options than when I buy an Imperial Knight. You know, for what, $160? You know, versus $15 plus another $4 in resin, if that. You know, $20 versus $180. There's no question on that. The other company that I love dealing with is called Puppets War. Puppets War was the first set of Space Marine proxies I ever bought. Okay. And these guys are chunky boys, you know. Like this set of files is $35. Okay. Not gonna lie, $35 seems kind of steep, but look at all the options. And it's not like, oh, do these guys have painting services too? I haven't actually looked into it since I'm such a shill for Army Painter speed paints. You know, I was actually able to do these things in yellow really quickly using those techniques. But look at these guys. They're all chunky and angry. And yeah, look at us. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And these are great models. Okay. When I printed them up, man, they were pretty heavy, you know. And I used these guys as my firstborn Marines. Um, and that's seriously. Oh, they changed the back on that. Look at that guy. Yeah, it looks like he's got a pack on it. That's actually kind of new. Um, and I use the jetpacks on these guys for other miniatures because I like the way the jetpacks on here look more than I like the way the jetpacks from most of Games Workshop stuff looks like. Yeah, one of the last models I bought from these guys was this one. The Brain Bug, Lord of Two Minds. Look at that guy. We know what he's supposed to be, you know. And I also found out that I printed him a little bit too big, so I can print up another one at the size for a certain box set, and we're good, you know? And again, I was able to take a look at my miniatures collection and know that for a fraction of the cost of what I would have spent using, buying stuff directly from a certain company, um, I wouldn't have the collection that I currently have. Okay. I really wouldn't. And I'm good with that. But again, these things aren't pirating. This is their own take on the on the property that they love as much as everyone else. All right. Now, there is one that's run by a friend of mine. Again, amazing woman. And she introduced me to her stuff because I love her orcs. And her stuff comes in from Gears and Guts. All right. And these guys look great. I mean, look at these dudes on bikes. Ah, look at them. Orcs is on bikes. And their bikes look great. You know, and one of the ones that I just yeah, and again, um $35 for the STLs. And it's like, well, I could just buy those for 60. Yeah, but how many can you actually make? You know? That oh wait, those are the files. Now, there we go. Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at some of the troopers. Yeah, the troopers. Like the assault gunners. Okay, look at these dudes. $10 for these files. And you have distinct orcses. You know? Distinct orcses from every other orc at your local tournament. You know? And that's the thing. These companies, a lot of these companies, the number one, hang on, Shock Troopers, were the ones that I really, really love. I literally bought one of the files from these guys because I love them so. Where are those commandos? Commandos, commandos. Hmm. Ooh, maybe they're under wreckers. Nope. Oh, infantry. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, look at these guys. And this is Gears and Guts. You know, And yeah, I mean, these guys are just amazing. The Wrecker Executioners. Look at these dudes. Oh, and again, this whole set of files is $10. Now there are a lot of people. Where are the women with flamethrowers? The women with flamethrowers, I'll get to them next. Okay? Yes, I will get to them next, my good man. There really was um do, 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 unit type. I think they're specialists. I'm not quite sure. Oh, there we are. My boys. My boys. Okay? Yeah. Here we go. I had to have these guys. I had to have these guys. Sneaky bruisers. Okay? This again, this brings the fun back into the game for me. You know, I'm not even an orc player, although I do have an orc army. But look at these dudes. How can you hate these dudes? This was a $10 purchase for designs and imagination that aren't available in stores. I mean, here we've got the sneaky bruisers hiding in boxes. I mean, oh my god, yeah, this guy right here. I mean, this guy right here has um has a cardboard cutout of a tree. All right. Ah, when I get money, I will probably buy these STLs just so that I can paint everything they have purple. If you know, you know. And yeah, and I mean, again, these things aren't available. They are original designs. They are, um, and of course, finally, y'all knew y'all wasn't getting out of this without me, without me bringing up these guys, because of the third party minis, they've got all of my monies. But let's take a look at these packs, okay? Now, this army bundle here is $82. That kind of sucks on the front of it, okay? But what do you get? You get tanks, all right? You get the STLs for your tanks, all right? Um, this is you. I mean, yeah, you've got your girls with the flamethrowers holding the things. Oh my God, it looks great. I mean, look at these guys. And again, you know exactly who they are. You know that these are the Blessed Sisters from One Page Rules' Grimdark Future. You know? But simultaneously, um, but simultaneously, and this is very important, they don't cost nearly as much. It lowers the barrier of entry. And again, all of these are original creations. These guys can't be sued by the G Dubs. You guys have actually watched me on this show paint this particular tank and carrier. And do I want the organ? Yes, I want the organ. I just haven't gotten around to printing it yet because I think I've decided not to play this army. You know, I could if I wanted to. But if you're not already part of the Patreon, for $82, you get the STLs for all that stuff. And I can tell you from personal experience that that tank only costs about $9 to print. $9. You know, but the thing is, yeah, but you got to buy the 3D printer and you got to buy the resin. I will tell you guys, it is so easy nowadays to get a 3D printer for about $100. $100. We're looking at maybe $160 to get set up with a whole 3D printer thing if you've got a closet that you're not using. Okay? A broom closet or something like that, and you're done. You know? Um, and sure enough, it's out there. All right. So, is 3D printing bad? No, no, it's not bad. It is not remotely bad. What we've actually got with it, what we've got with 3D printing is the same thing that we had with Napster, and the same thing that we had with dual cassette decks, and the same thing that we had with the internet, and every new technology that comes down the pike. Okay, guys? Um, a lot of people are going, no, it's gonna ruin everything. Now, I am not a capitalist. I do not make enough money to give people jobs. All right. But what I can say is that in all of history, all of history, every single business that didn't keep up with the technology that is available at the time went down. There are loads of ways that companies can go through this and go through selling their stuff and keeping profits up. Okay. Um, I know One Page Rules has been going strong for about 3 years now. Station Forge Minis has been going strong. Excuse me. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but the overhead. Look, I'm not going to comment on that. You know why? Because I went to school for physics, Japanese cultural studies and history, and film production, not business. I don't know how to run a business. If I did, I wouldn't be in the jam that I'm in. But what I do know is that businesses that keep up with the time stay around. Businesses that don't fold. Okay? Um that's really the yeah, exactly. Cyber Drake Luca brings up a great point with the switch from horse-drawn buggy and cars and horses to cars. Okay? Um that is a real honest to God thing, you know. Um but when it comes down to it, y'all, all right? If you're here, you're either new and checking the place out, and thank you. Even if you are just ghosting, or what is the term? Lurking. Lurking is the term. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for listening to some of the stuff I got to say on the subject. But I get the feeling that y'all like playing games too, and y'all like having variety in different things, you know? So, is 3D printing bad? No. Is it theft? Not necessarily, no. You know? It could be pushed into theft in the same way that bringing your own food into a restaurant can be. Okay? And that's real talk. Um Even if I went into Games Workshop stores, I wouldn't take any of my 3D printed armies into a Games Workshop store to play. Okay, that takes food out of the mouths of the person that works at a Games Workshop store. All right, and that's not cool. But when I go to my friendly local gaming store, yeah, I will take my 3D printed models. I will play with my 3D printed models. I will also do what I can to get people interested in the games that I'm playing and help the store sell those games, you know, to keep those doors open. Mm. But a lot of people are like, no, it's got to be GW or nothing, or oh, I want you to go through the same trials and tribulations as I did. I can let you guys know now. Chances are you wouldn't have fun playing with those people anyway, so don't bother. Okay. Um, their their anger, their idea of more aggression is the key to winning an argument. It's not worth it when it comes to the things that we do for fun. And we want to have the funds, right? you know, I mean that's what we're doing. We do these things for fun and ways to escape the dreariness of our day jobs or school or our families, just to remind us the other stuff that we're working for that can put smiles on our face. We need to blow off steam. And when we start getting trolled and all that other stuff, it's like, you know what? Nah, nah, I don't need to deal with you. And remember, guys, let's say you're playing games with your friends and it's all great and somebody else comes up. It's like, dude, hashtag not your miniatures. Okay? They're not yours. You don't have to like them because you don't own them. You didn't make them, you know? Um, Now, I will tell you, the stuff that I got from Apex Miniatures, okay? Again, I'm a really big fan of Apex. Alex is a wonderful dude. And where are they? There they are. My entire Thousand Sons, my entire Thousand Sons army are made up of these guys. I love these guys. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. All right. Um and don't worry, I'll be putting links to all of these links on my mini factory for you guys. And there's again always some really fun stuff on other places. Like what? You thought I forgot about you, Cyber Drake Luca? I did not. All right? Because boom, we've got stuff from Battletech as well. You know, guys going, hey, I want to make lots and lots of big, stompy wobots. Can I make my big, stompy wobots? You know, and yeah, you can make your big, stompy wobots. Look at these guys. You know, um, these guys are amazing. Okay, seriously, seriously amazing. And let me take a look. How much is that one? Oh, yeah, that model is $2.50. Okay, and if I'm making them up for BattleTech, or if you're making them up for BattleTech and all that stuff at that tiny, tiny scale, it'll cost you less than a dime. You know, and that's how, like, seriously, um, these are the ways that you can make your counts as or proxies or all that stuff. And the stuff looks really cool, you know? So, no, it is not wrong. It is not bad. Now, to copy pre-existing things and go for the bootlegs um that are not legally distinct from, I have a moderate problem with that. Just a moderate. Because yeah, quite honestly, there's better stuff out there. And when I say better stuff, um there is, seriously, when it comes to the better stuff that's out there, there's great stuff coming out from independent creators. Okay? And those independent creators are really great. Now, like, if you guys are wondering, I'm putting nope, 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 nope. I am putting the links to all of these things that I showed you guys today. All of these websites um that I buy STLs from. I put them all up there because real talk. Yeah, I'm putting them here in the chat. There we go. Gears and Guts, Puppets War. Because quite honestly, you know, these are the companies that could really use folks' support, you know? Because these are the talented artists. These are the ones that are making a living. And real talk, I'm all about that, you know? I'm all about buying directly from the folks. Because oh yeah, especially, yeah, seriously look into Alex and stuff like that cuz um Apex Minis, especially if you're thinking about getting into Space Marines and you have a 3D printer, you know, And most of this stuff comes pre-supported and all that jazz. Like real talk, this guy here, that is a cool tech marine, guys. I mean, really. And I've got to glue them together and do all that stuff. But yeah, because I printed them in pieces instead of one complete thing. But that is a cool mini. You know, that is a cool space model with a bunch of Dr. Octopus arms and things like that. And one of the things I have really loved about doing the 3D printing hobby is helping out my friends with bits. You know, um, mm, helping out my friends with bits because yeah, these Dr. Octopus arms there, those are so cool. All right, let me see if I can find a good picture of them. Oh, he doesn't have them there, but yeah, those things are so cool. And and I mix and match minis from different companies. My Tech Marine from Apex Tabletop is going with one of the heads I got from Puppets War because he's wearing a cool little hat. And yeah, I'm a big fan of that kind of thing. So mixing, matching, customs, it gives you a whole lot of creativity and a whole lot of options to make your miniatures or to make your toys distinctly yours. So is it bad? No, it's not. Will it kill companies? No. No, it's not gonna. Dude, 3D printing has been a serious thing for about 5 years, and a serious thing for about 2 years. And Games Workshop's dividends have been going up. You know, um, this stuff isn't going to kill hobbies. It's not going to mess up stuff. Okay. Um, these companies still have years of selling you stuff. And again, I'm not gonna lie. Um, I'm really not gonna lie. There are so many different ways that these companies make money. Okay, I'm using Games Workshop as the prime example because that's the one that people defend the most. And I'm sorry, a 3D printed miniature army is not going to affect the sales of their video games or novels, or animation services. I mean, yeah, that app is doing terribly anyway, but it's not because of 3D printing. It's because of bad apps. Um, and when it comes to the smaller companies, like I said, when it comes to the companies that aren't the juggernauts, yeah, I use proxies. I 3D print my own proxies sometimes. Okay, here's an example I did with Carnivale. There's a team that's made up of ostrich riding dudes in clown masks. Of course, I was there, right? But the main ostrich rider I couldn't find um as a clamshell. Okay, the only way I could get the ostrich riders were to buy the complete set because they were sold out on the site of the individual guy, and they were sold out at the only store that I could find Carnivale miniatures in. So, um, oh wait. So, in order to have the dude that I wanted, I had to find a 3D printed model. Okay, or not a 3D printed model, but an STL that I could print. And was I mad about it? No. I even took it into the store um, that I played at, and I let them know flat out. I looked on your shelves. I looked on. It's sold out on the website. It's sold out on your shelf, so you can't even order it if you wanted to. And that's that's what I had to deal with. All right, I want to put this team together. I want to play this team, and I am unable to purchase the thing that I wanted. So I 3D printed this guy because he's awesome, you know. And he goes perfectly with the army, especially after I got him painted up. And even the guys at the stores were like, dude, that guy is cool. And I'm like, isn't he? It is so awesome. Now, was it subtext of them asking me to print them one? I don't know. Divergent. So, couldn't tell you. But but as all of that came down, I got the thing I wanted for my army. And I think this guy was only like $4, you know. So the fact of the matter is that playing or using 3D printing actually makes the hobby more accessible to more people. And this isn't my paint job, but this is just what the guy put on his site, and that was all cool and stuff. But yeah, um, you know, but it makes the hobby more accessible to people that really wouldn't be there. And fact of the matter is this, okay? We are leaving the age in the 21st century of forced purchasing, all right? And what do I mean by purchasing? I mean, back in my day, when you wanted to play a game or start a new hobby, you had to at least buy in just to see if you liked it. All right? Seriously, just to see if you like it, you actually have to buy the thing. And then when you try to return the thing, if you didn't like it, you might have got store credit, but you wouldn't get your money back. That's hard. Okay, that's really tough. But with 3D printing and the free games that are out there, you can try before you buy and then put your money in places that you support, okay? That you actually like. Now, what does this mean? This means if you like Games Workshop or Privateer Press or Corvus Bell, spend your money on those guys. Always spend your money. Put money in their pocket if you like the product. But that barrier to entry where kids like me had to go broke just to find out if we like, those days are done. Like serious, they are gone. You know, if 3D printing had been a thing in 2001 when I got into War Machine, I wouldn't have paid $9 for tokens and $15 for blast templates and fire templates and scatter templates. You know, we've got those options now, and I'm all good. I am all good with that, and I mean that. I am so all good with that whole principle. You know, and there's so many good, and I mean good designers and companies that put out minis that wouldn't be available otherwise. Okay. Now, with 3D printing, there's a lot of things that are available that aren't available in shops. Example, okay? Let's say you do want to support Privateer Press, okay? And you go to their website and what you want is sold out, all right? It is now possible to find some sort of proxy as a 3D printed STL. And you can still play the thing with no confusion on the board. And then when they become available, you buy the thing. Okay? How many of us have gone to a certain British website for miniatures and we found that the stuff has been discontinued or sold out or permanently sold out, you know? Or it's just too expensive. I'm not gonna lie. Between Puppets War and One Page Rules, and Apex Miniatures, I finally have the Leviathan box set from Games Workshop. It only cost me about $100, and that's because I decided to buy the book. Okay. Um, but honestly, that's still a third of what it would cost to have bought the thing when it was available. And good luck finding it now. Okay. Matter of fact, let's see if it's available to buy directly. Okay. And I mean this Games Workshop Leviathan box set. Okay. Yeah. The Leviathan box set. Now, there's still a couple of places that you can pick it up. Um, yeah, still a couple of places you can pick it up. But guess what? Amazon ain't one of them. All right. Yeah, that ain't there. A couple of friendly local game stores might still have it. And of course, let's take a good look. No, I don't want to watch the video. Okay. The Leviathan paperback. And then box. We're doing a search for Leviathan right here, right now. And that's not there. Let's take a look at the Start Here page. Shop. Warhammer 40K. Warhammer 40K. I do not like their new website design. But let's see here. We've got the introductory set is still available. The starter set is still available. The ultimate starter set is available. And yeah, looks like the Leviathan box set is gone. It's gone. You cannot buy it from Games Workshop directly. So your best bet is to hope that your local gaming store or an independent place online is a place that you could buy it from. But if you've got a 3D printer like I do and you didn't have $330 liquid when it was available, then tough, or not tough. You've got a 3D printer, so you can make it yourself. And fact is, I did. I did make my Leviathan box set. You know, so now I can play the Leviathan box set and really understand what they're trying to sell me with 10th edition. Okay. And if I did want to give them money, I can't. Think about that. But because I have a 3D printing setup, I can't. I can play the game. And if I really, really like the game and I can get past what I don't like about them, that then means I could support them. But this company and a few other companies do all of this marketing based on FOMO. If you're my age and you need the definition, that means the fear of missing out. Okay? So they do all this exclusive stuff, and you can't get this model at this point, or you can't get those models at this point, and you can't do, you've got to act now, or you'll never be able to do it again. But if you do 3D printing, that pressure is gone. And that is one of the things that might cut into their profit margin. But is that the fault of 3D printers? Or is that bad marketing? Okay, is that a not sustainable business design? That's a good question. I myself, I've never really been into FOMO because I've never been able to afford it. You know, the closest thing to FOMO I ever had were movies when I was a kid. Because I'm older than the home video market, which predates streaming. So, yeah, for the first 13 years of my life, if I didn't see it in the theaters, I had to wait for it to come on television. But then video cassettes came out. So guess what? I just want to see the movie. I don't need the cinematic experience. I want to see the movie. So that kind of FOMO just not really my thing. If I miss it now, I'll go next year. If I don't see it in theaters, I'll watch it when it hits a streaming service of some kind. I have pretty much most of them anyway. So there we go. We're going to do one more commercial break and then we'll come back to sum up. All right? All right, guys. Woohoo! Let us check. Yeah, let us check if we can. Um, the comment section. Yeah. Cool. You screenshotted the list. All right. Cool. Yeah. People not obsessed with bolt gun for a while. That it's the boomer shooter FPS market. Right. 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 Paint them green for that goblin engineering. Yeah. Um, I have not watched Edge Runners at all yet. I haven't had the time. Um, let's see. Yeah, I've been busy working to get myself out of quite possibly the most serious financial jam an adult can be in. Okay. So I haven't actually had much time to think about what to watch or to watch something. It's been fundraising, um, doing the day job, and then writing the shows for when I could come back and do the shows. And therapy. Lots and lots of therapy. Hey guys, all right, we are back. So yeah, so to sum up, as far as this whole conversation about will 3D printing kill the mini wargaming hobby? No, no, no. It won't. Okay? Because Napster didn't kill the music industry. Spotify didn't kill the music industry. All right? What it did was it changed it. All right? And that's a really big thing. All right? Right now, we are moving into a time where publicly traded corporations are panicking because more and more decent products are coming out from indie creators. All right? Now, what does this mean? This means um this means Kroger might be shaking in their boots because of farmers markets. Okay? That farmer over there that grew some really big strawberries this season that are really juicy and all that stuff, yeah. If you can go to him, why would you go to Kroger? You know? And the answer is that not everybody can afford that stuff. But if you can buy the same quality stuff for cheaper, yeah, you're going to go there. All right? But as long as these big dudes are controlled by boards who just want higher profits and don't care about the product they're putting out, i.e., the quality of the minis, the the level of fun that the games produce, be them role playing games or board games or whatever, there are so many people out there, so many independent creators like Apex, like Puppets War, One Page Rules that make fun stuff that looks, if not great, good enough. There's a dude that I get all of my Alien Hive miniature, or mostly all of my Alien Hive miniatures from on Cults 3D. Um, Not gonna say their name because I haven't talked to them and said, "Hey, would you mind if I feature you?" Okay. But what I can do is say that yeah, I like the stuff that he makes, and I print the stuff that he makes, and I have fun with the stuff that he makes more so than I have fun looking in every game store within 45 miles of where I live for the thing that I want and then having to pay out of the nose. Or should I say, paying the retail price plus $5 to $10 for gas, plus however many hours out of my day it takes me to get there. That stuff has been removed. One, because my standards are lower, and second, because I have the means to make and produce my own stuff now. So I am really, really, really um on the side of now using proxies and 3D printing is great and it won't kill the hobby. Now, when it comes to the hobby or Warhammer 40K, which is the biggest argument over this whole thing, I'm letting you guys know right now, their number one thing, their biggest thing to get people in seats, the biggest thing that keeps them up are not veteran players. It's new players. Okay? New players. And they have nothing to worry about. How do I know? Because I grew up black. That's right. I'm pulling the race card. What? What are you talking about? You grew up. What does that have to do with it? Simple. We got burgers at home. You don't need McDonald's, right? But you go home and you get that Eddie Murphy bell pepper burger that your friends make fun of you over. You're not going to be happy. Just get the Happy Meal. All right? And places like Games Workshop, and Wizards of the Coast and all that stuff, they are McDonald's. They are Burger Kings. They target the young, they get the young. Mommy, I want Space Marines. And that's all cool. That's where they make the majority of their cash. That and people that are caught in the sunken cost fallacy because they started collecting 20 something years ago, and they are just locked into that ecosystem, Apple. So no, they're not going to hurt. They're not going to be hurting. But for people that like doing the games and playing the games, as long as there's somebody to play with, and a lot of the modelers are finding that there's more and more and more smaller companies, mom and pop shops, farmers markets, that are putting out stuff that's good. And here's the thing. If you think that a company is based on getting the last dime of money out of your pocket for their thing, are they a company worth supporting? Okay? That's up to you to decide. All right? Because I'm a big fan of as well. Okay? There is a Games Workshop model that I love. I love their Ghost Coach from Age of Sigmar. That is an awesome looking model. Guess what? There's other stuff that looks good as well. Okay? So I might get the Ghost Coach one day if I really, really, really want to see it on my shelf. And I can afford it, and it's not, and it's my disposable income, not the last bit of fun I'll be able to have for this month. All right? And we'll get into that later on this week. We're talking value for entertainment, okay? But the fact of the matter is, none of this stuff is going to kill stuff. It's all hyperbole, all right? Yeah, and I'm going on the record saying that. It is a lot of hyperbolic stuff. So when it comes to the 3D printing thing, I am a big proponent of it. If you've got the space and you can deal with that kind of thing, then grab yourself a little $150 3D printer. Make your toys. Play with your toys. Go. I will tell you, I'm a big proponent of it because I like toys, but I never learned how to take care of them, so my stuff breaks all the time. But when I'm at game stores with my stuff and people look at the pile of minis that I brought and they're like, oh my God, those look so cool. I'm like, why aren't you picking it up and looking at it? Take a look at my toys. If you like the way I painted them, thank you. But all in all, they're toys. Have fun. Have fun with the toys. If you like the building and the making, yeah, you can do the same stuff with the 3D printing at a fraction of the cost. But if you really want that Imperial Knight, and I can understand why you would, then get the Imperial Knight. Still live your life. Buy what you want to buy. I'm just putting this out there and jumping into the conversation because I want people to remember that they can do what they want instead of doing what they feel they have to. And there are a lot of companies out there that push the FOMO so hard that if you don't get it now, you'll never be able to get it. There is stuff just as good. I mean, there's stuff just as good, and the stuff that's just as good will be there. Okay? And this is how we keep our own engagement and our own fun in all these hobbies. So, yeah, that is where I'm leaving that today. And if you guys got questions, all right? If you guys got questions or comments or anything like that, you guys want to discuss this, okay, we'll discuss it. Okay? And how do we do that? Well, in order to discuss this stuff, you got to open up your keyboard pull up your email and type in back in the deck at gmail.com. It's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. You can also hit me up on the social media apps, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the TikToks, all that stuff. And of course, somebody might just put up an invitation to the Discord right here in the chat. But thank you guys for being here. And if you're still on Facebook, I know I am. Join Deckers on the Book. We can have talks about it. I'm pretty sure the custodian models that I put up there are still up there. If not, I'll put them up there and all that stuff. But with all that being said, guys, thank you guys for being here. And remember, if anybody tells you that you can't like what you like, or hobby the way that you hobby, or play the games you want to play because of the circumstances of your birth, your race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, gender identity, neurospice, you can just tell them, look, man, take those cards, whatever cards you're trying to play to say that I'm not including, and put them back in the deck. I got friends that'll accept me for who I am and that like the way I play. All right, this is Solar Gray, Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you. We will see you next time on the dark side of the room.